We'll give people a few minutes to come into the room. While we're waiting, just give yourself a chance to stop. That stopping point happens deep at your center. And it instantly puts your senses in touch with what's present in this moment. When you're stuck in the stories of your life, that stopping feels like a crack in the world. And out of that crack, just energy emanates. You can feel it coming from the center of you. But really, that world, those stories are more like clouds that clear. There's really nothing to crack. So just let it all come to a stop. So you can land on the solid ground of this moment. Really step into the stillness of this moment. There's a teaching that wants to come out tonight. If you can really hear it, it's a doozy. But its veneer, like last week, is so trite that most people, they'll just see the veneer and they'll say, oh, I already know that. So I need you a little cracked open, standing on solid ground. Tonight I want to talk to you about the power of belief. Catch that part of yourself that thinks you know what that is. I said it's going to have a veneer that is very trite, but it's deep. It's one of those things that you only come to know when you have a lot of experience consciously shifting your belief. It permeates every inch of your human experience. It's tied into your habits in ways that hold everything in place. It's how the world manipulates you. It's how you manipulate yourself. It is the arrangement you call me. It's like trying to explain water to a fish. If you've never moved against it or really been outside of it, you don't even know you're swimming in it. So you might have to hear this many times. Or maybe this is the time. Maybe this is that ripe moment where you catch a glimpse. You know, when you work with spiritual teachers, you have different kinds of experiences. I've worked with many. And as a teacher, I've worked with many people. And you can walk away from some experiences just convinced the person that you're working with is connected to God in a way that is beyond you. They can touch the center of your forehead in a way that your whole world explodes. Where your entire perception shifts. And from that moment forward, you attribute that experience to them. The majority of that is the manipulation of belief. I'm someone who has spent a lot of time with teachers. You know, I go all in. I dissolve my whole life and move to the middle of nowhere and start as a person that they'll barely look at and become a person they can't avoid. You come to watch, and as you grow in it, you come to see inconsistencies and problems, and sometimes big problems. Problems that negate a lot of your beliefs about them. And for a long time, there's this dissonance between the person you've come to know and the divine experiences that they've facilitated for you. And those experiences, they were real. And they were important. But what was being moved in those experiences was my belief. Truly adept manipulators know how to work with that. There are even little books on power you can buy to teach you how to manipulate in that way. Powerful people use those sorts of tactics and techniques. When you walk away from someone that facilitated experiences like that, there's a part of you that knows you're doing the right thing, and another part of you that doesn't know where you're going to get that experience again, until you understand how it came about. And so you're held to them. You're held to them because you believe they were the source of the experience. There's a documentary out there right now about a man who facilitated all sorts of experiences just like that. Experiences I know very well. And, by the second episode, he's molesting his students and molesting children and all sorts of things. Quite a dissonance between the divine experience that he gave with his power to these people, and yet the experience was real. Their whole world shifted before their eyes into an explosion of light that brought important clarity that was incredibly healing for them. We always like to take these paths and put them on a binary, right? They're either good or they're bad. It takes a big person to stand in the reality of the mess of the middle. My motto was always, get in, learn what you can, and get out before they start serving the Kool-Aid. But the mechanism that made that possible was belief. If you start doing Tai Chi or freeform Qigong, where you are doing things like reaching your hands up to the heavens and on an inhale, pulling down cosmic energy into your body. If you are moving things out and pulling things in, you will feel something. What are you manipulating? You're manipulating belief. You're opening yourself up through belief to a different human experience. And if you get up and do it every single day, that belief will grow and grow and grow until you can access it like that, until you can pull large amounts of energy into your body, until your certainty is so contagious that you can stand in front of another person, put your hand on their chest and command some shift to occur, and that person will usually experience a shift. There's always someone that won't. but most people it will. Earlier in my trainings, I performed all sorts of healings that way. I didn't understand at the time the mechanism, but I had cultivated so much belief in the energy that I was experiencing and my connection to my teacher, which is a wonderful source, to be able to look up and believe that there's somebody else who has it all figured out, who knows it all, is connected to the infinite that you can call on, and they will flood your space regardless of your level of perfection. Quite a useful belief. Can you see that? And your whole arrangement of the world shifts around you. And the question becomes then, okay, well then, is that shift real or is it fake? And my answer is, does it matter? Real and fake are just more beliefs. The result is what it is. Belief is a power. It's like money. It's only worth what you spend it on. If you use it for your own self-aggrandizement as a teacher, then, your students will still gain a fair amount for a period of time, but at some point they'll wake up and realize something is wrong and have to leave. If you're really skilled and really integrous, it can be used to good effect. To provide a student with experiences that they could never provide for themselves at that moment in their life. Their belief in you is stronger than their belief in themselves. And so you use that to help them, to provide an experience. Such is the power of belief. But it's dangerous. Because it's blind to morality for the most part. Anyone can cultivate it. But it governs every bit of your day. If you're someone who can't get out of bed in the morning, it's because you've got a belief system set up about what it means to wake up and step into the world. If you're someone that can very easily do one set of things, but another set of things is just off the table for you, too difficult. Belief systems. If you can't open up, it's a belief. The beauty of sitting in meditation is that for a period of time, we remove one of the main limitations that belief systems use, which is the voice inside your head. When you sit quietly, truly quietly, inside and out, for a good period of time, and it's a different number of minutes for each person, you start expanding beyond the beliefs of your storylines. But powerful people that come into your storylines provide a storyline that has a doorway beyond what your beliefs would otherwise be limiting you from. So is it good or bad? It's never that simple. You have to be awake. You have belief systems in place you don't even necessarily know about. You know, when I came out of monastic life and started working in the world and got myself finally to a place where I was highly employed, let's say, applying for higher level jobs than I've ever applied for because I'd gotten through school, and I'd find myself stepping towards something that I didn't even know I was afraid of. You know, I'd be having a conversation and I would experience my entire body breaking down like it was terrified. It was weird. I wasn't terrified, but my whole storyline, my whole belief system, I guess, was set up in a way that didn't know how to walk into that moment. Because I was awake, I just walked into it anyways. And then all your belief systems kind of change around it. It's another benefit of meditation. You look up, you recognize something's happening, there's a foundation that is getting rattled, and you know what it is, and so you just kind of step forward anyways. You look a little weird maybe for 15 minutes while you're trying to speak through it. But all of those are just patterns of belief. Any change you could want to make to your life requires a change in your belief systems. Anything you want to manifest in your life requires a change in your expectations of the world around you. And it has to be practiced, just like Qigong. It grows every day, literally changes your body. Belief is an experience that comes all the way down to the metabolites flowing through your bloodstream. That's how powerful it is. It comes down to what it feels like to be you. And if you don't like what it feels like to be you, you need to wake up to your belief systems. If you can't see what they are, and I think most people can't, again, it's like explaining water to a fish. You know, the way a fish comes to learn about water, take a fish out of water. They'll quickly understand what water is and what its absence is. So if you want to understand your beliefs, you have to actually move against them. What does that mean? It means you seek discomfort. You know, you can do that in literally any way. There are lineages in India that do it in all kinds of ways. You know, dealing with dead bodies and just pushing themselves into the areas of life that no human would want to go, just to expand, flesh out, and essentially break down all of their beliefs. I think for this bunch, probably the best track forward is to look at your life and figure out what you would want to be, what you would want to do. And then start walking towards it, start living in that way. And you'll notice you start to feel uncomfortable, and that's the place you want to be. You want to be right up against that edge of discomfort. Don't go so far into it that you can't manage it. Just get right up to the edge and follow it. Get right up to the edge, open up there, and then take another step. Open up there, and then take another step. And do it in full awareness, and you will come to see what's been limiting you. It helps if you have a desire. I had a desire that pulled me through school, that pulled me into the life that I have now. It's something you have to do just to see that you didn't need it. But there's incredible value to that too. But if you don't have a desire, seek discomfort anyways, so that you can continue to grow. If you're feeling stuck, move up to the edge of your discomfort. Throw yourself open in moments where you feel like closing down. Moments where you believe you need to just shut down. Do the opposite. Just stay there open, shaking, uncomfortable, and breathe your way into it. Because the amazing thing is, when you take one step forward, you're actually gaining the entire circumference of that step forward in your circle. Everything you let go of has a million implications in the storyline of life. And it gets easier. Discomfort gets easier. It's the other thing meditation teaches you. You know, especially if you're sitting on a cushion with a straight spine. In the first 10 minutes, your spine starts to hurt, and your belief is that it's just going to get worse. But it's not true. And if you open up within it, you'll go through periods where it stops hurting, periods where it starts again, periods where it stops. And then when you no longer care if it's going to hurt anymore, it stops hurting entirely for most people. Because you were willing to come up against that belief and stay open. All the light and shadows of your life are just the textures of your belief systems. It permeates everything you do. In every moment, you have the opportunity to to recognize it. And just take a few steps into the zone you're not supposed to go. Maybe that's expressing a different opinion than the person in front of you has. Maybe that's being kind to someone who is toxically wrong. Or maybe that's walking away from the person who's being toxic. Maybe it's letting go and doing something that you don't feel like doing. Maybe something that would be good for your body, but you have a belief that you don't have the energy for it. You know, anyone who's ever exercised regularly, and I don't, but I have, knows that the way you're feeling before you exercise doesn't really predict how the exercise is going to go or how you're going to feel afterwards. You can have times where you really feel like going out for a run, and then you get out there and it's just awful. And there can be other times where it's like there's just no way you have the energy for that, but you make yourself do it anyways, and it's the best session of your life. We spend so much time asking ourselves if we feel like doing something. You start to let go of that a little bit. You start to just align your actions with what you're trying to become. And what you become is less important than the growth that comes from becoming something bigger than what you currently are. Or even just different from what you currently are. In Qigong, they literally shapeshift their energy into different animals. Penguins. I took a class with a Qigong master once, and we all walked around as penguins. And the thing is, letting go of what you are to be something else freed up so much energy that when you were done being a penguin, you actually felt amazing in ways that just didn't make any sense. But you'd let go of one belief and taken on a belief that was completely contrary. You'd consciously maneuvered the most powerful, dominant force in your life. Do you see? You're holding all of this in place. Imagine the power that takes up. That's you. That's your power. The power to change is something huge. Something to work with daily. Okay. And that's my trite talk on beliefs. Are there any questions? All right. Why don't we go back into meditation and just let that kind of sink in a little. Attention at the forehead and crown. take in the whole room at once. And just use your senses to watch and listen and feel this moment and nothing else. What if you just let go? What if you let this moment be enough? You guys are still tonight. Go even deeper. Go up until that moment where everything in you says it's time to stop, and then stay there. Go until that moment where you just know if you go any further, something is going to change that you can't get back. And stay there. Stay there and watch your whole world expand on the other side of your shaking. That little bit of renewed inspiration you just got was a shift in your belief system. Do you see the boundaries? How malleable. Gonna have to name this video something boring so that this doesn't get into the wrong hands. Your energy is beautiful tonight. This week, step up against those boundaries. Step out of the water, gasp a little bit, so that you can come to see what you've been swimming in. Understood? There's a world of personal power waiting for you in that experience. If you get good at it, you can do or become anything in this world of stories, and you can exit it at will. Any questions before we end for the night? My pleasure, Joanna. I'm glad you're here. All right, guys, I will be here next week. I will see you then, and have a great week.